Well, guys, the time had arrived. It's time to dig into the big wing craze and see what it's all about. So strap in and let's go.
Hey Mike, see you got a big wing. Now you just need a Fox body with no front end, and then you can come join us playing meat sticks in the hot tub here. Now let's check out what's going on in the lab.
Yeah.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to your first day of science class. Today we are going to be talking about big wings. I know a lot of you have seen now in the no prep world, they seem to becoming more and more popular. So you see guys like Billy the Kid putting a big wing on. Even Bradshaw's now put a big wing on his car. So they seem to be the next greatest mod that everybody's doing. Personally, we put on the wing last year or in the spring after seeing the front wheel drive versus rear wheel drive shootout. It was interesting to watch all those F-150s, and after talking to those guys and thinking about how light the truck is in the back, I figured, hey, why not? We'll give it a try. They said they worked well, so we decided to put one on our truck and see what the results would be. So now, after, I guess it's been eight months now, 10 months of running this wing, we've gotten a lot of data. So after getting multiple messages from everybody.
Huh? Who? It's for you.
Asking what we've determined with the wing, how does it work, does it work? What kind of results are we seeing? I thought today I could do this short YouTube video for you guys to try to answer some of these questions and see if this actually does work or if it doesn't work. So with that, let's get to this video and see what we came up with.
One particle of unobtainium has a nuclear reaction with the flux capacitor. Carry the two, changing its atomic isotoner into a radioactive spider. Fuck you, science!
Okay, so for our first comparison file, I've downloaded a couple of files. Now, all these files are similar times that have been run, similar surfaces. I've tried to get the most comparable files so we can actually see true data towards what exactly is going on. So this is your standard Holley data log. This right here, the red line, indicates your RPM. We can turn on the TPS. This was a relatively clean run. There's a little dip in the TPS here. It might have had the wheels up a little bit, but all in all, pretty clean run. As you can see with the rear mounts, the run doesn't actually start until about here. So God help me, that's probably 8 seconds getting it up on boost. So this log we left at 9 pounds of boost. Let's start the log here. So we'll do our starting point when it left. And zoom in. Okay, so underneath, I'll back this out a touch. So
Put it out, dude. You're gonna get us in trouble.
Today, Junior!
these lines here are what we're looking at today. So the greenish blue line here on the top is our front shock sensor, and the purple line underneath is the rear shock sensor. So as you can see, everything separated. The rear shock separated in the front. They both expanded. And we're both basically topped out at 0.9 seconds. So a little early in the run. Then we come across the run here along this area. It wasn't full extension, and here basically we're at full extension. So about 2.3 seconds. Now, after it peaks out at full extension and you're heading down the track, the racetrack, it's shifted now. So we've lost a little bit, and you can see the shock starts to ride down ever so slightly until this point here where we lift off the throttle, and then you can see the truck slump back down. The front's still in the air, and eventually it follows suit. So through the run, the front was staying at full extension. The rear was probably bouncing a little bit, but for the most part, staying pretty separated. We look at our drive shaft curve, which is down here. By the end of the run, the drive shaft RPM is 6,300. This is our drive shaft RPM. Obviously, it spun the tire there a little bit, but then caught itself and carried on. There wasn't really any kind of irregularity or spinning in this pass. So this pass ran the same time as the other passes we're going to look at today, but I just wanted to give a baseline. So this was our shock data off this run. So the shocks, I do it in percentage. I know you're supposed to do it in measurement. I've just learned the percentages. So the rear shock was at 83% full extension here. So now we're going to look at another data log, which will be the big wing pass. Save changes to no. All right, now we see a comparable. So same idea. Throttle is full through the whole pass. Very nice, clean pass. Ran a decent time. Again, the run starts here. We see the front shock go up to full extension. This time we left on a lot less boost, 6 pounds of boost. Maybe the surface was a little iffy on the front side. The shock goes out to full extension here in the front. The rear's a little bit slower because we had it a little bit tighter. So the rear shock gets fully extended to about this point. Now, mind you, the rear shock says 56. That's because we relocated the shock, so we had the ability for more extension. After multiple passes here, I can probably put the shocks back down to where they were because we're not even reaching full extension. The most we see now over here is normally about 60% or 70%. So I just did it to make sure we had enough leeway for the shock to extend if it needed to. So the difference we see now is the further we go into the run, the more compression you're starting to see in the rear. The shock sensor is moving from this point and slowly pressing down to the point that we're over here and we're still at full throttle, but the rear shock is now at 36%. So that's telling us how much the wing is actually pressing down on the rear end. It's forcing the rear end down. Even though it's trying to stay separated, the tire is planted. There's barely any spinning in this run whatsoever. It was a very clean run. But you can see the shock data here from about, I would say, after the shift, somewhere in here, it starts to slowly work its way down. Now, is it crazy excessive? No. We're going from about 48% to 37%. But it's definitely pressing down. So the truck is trying to separate. The suspension is still trying to hold and separate. But the wing itself is now adding pressure on the back end. Now, this was a very clean run. But in all honesty, does the wing change anything? Not particularly. Does it put pressure on the rear end? Yes, 100% it does. But because of the way the front suspension stays almost at full extension, we have pretty much most of the weight on the back tire already. So when people ask me, does the wing work? Well, we can see it's definitely putting pressure down on the rear end. But is it required? No, because the same run previous actually was less boost to run the same time. Now, the wing normally starts to kick in around, it says 83 mile an hour here, but from what I've seen for multiple runs, about 100 mile an hour is when it starts to press down and then really gets after it at around 125, 130. So if you have a big block car like Billy's car or something that's making gobs of power and can do 150 mile an hour in the eighth, I can imagine the multiplier on that wing is going to press down harder and harder and harder. But is it a necessity to run backside or is it a big help? I think if you're struggling or spinning up top, which is something we've never really had that problem doing, then yes, I think the wing itself will definitely help you because it'll add weight in the back. But for a truck like mine that's already been set up with the proper suspension, I don't know if we're getting huge benefits to the wing. Now, all right, guys, well, we're back in the shop here, and let's go through the pros and cons of the big wing. So, on the pro side, it does give you downforce, I'd say 100 mile an hour and up. Obviously, the faster you go, the more downforce you'll get. So, using a big wing on a sketchy surface could definitely be a pro in your program. If you're struggling to put power out around back, I mean, it definitely presses down on the suspension. There's two different ways of running the wing. You can either run it on the chassis like we have it, or some guys have figured out how to also put it on the rear end. Technically, the rear end would probably be the better way of doing it because you're not getting that load on the chassis, which ends up causing you to wheelie through the finish lines, which, depending on how light your car is, etc., the way the wind is, could be very detrimental to your program if it comes up in a wheelie and flips backwards. So that's the pro side of it. Con side, I mean, they do look stupid. The guys we used to make fun of back in the day with the imports and the big wings on the back, everyone used to point and laugh and say how stupid it is. You can eat your lunch on them. They just look ridiculous. So do they still look ridiculous? 100%. But it's function over looks, I guess. And the way the no prep world is leaning these days, everyone's car's starting to look like something out of Mad Max, if you've ever watched that movie back in the 90s. So it seems to be the way we are headed these days. Another pro with the wing, for us, we hang weight on it. We put pins on it, so we also use it. It makes weight easier to take on and off, brings it up a little bit higher. Yeah, I mean, outside of that, there's not really much more pros with it. Con-wise, you smash your head on it all the time when you're walking by the truck. It's happened to numerous people. We already said it looks a little bit ridiculous. You do have to adjust the angle, and some people have actually put actuators on it, which is a very smart idea. But with that, why don't we go out and take a look at the wing, and we can go through a little bit on how everything works on it.
Wow, this guy is giving away all the top secret no prep information. We may have to make him a congressional award for his service.
All right, so here we have it. This is the way we did the wing. Our wing is from Wing Logic. It is mounted to the chassis. As you can see here, we've got tabs here, tabs down there. We did put Heim joints on everything just to help level off the wing side to side and things like that. It used to be adjustable. Because of True Street rules, they said it had to be non-adjustable, so these are now welded. There's no adjustment in them until they change the rules once again. Now, Like I said before, we welded pins on our wing, makes it easier to slide lead up and down. Normally we run weight behind the tailgate here. There's a giant steel plate, but this just made our life easier. Take weight on and off as required for backside stuff. Sometimes you need to add a little bit of weight. So, degree angle. Now, this is the big thing with these wings, is they are adjustable depending on how much degree you want. The more degree, the more downforce it'll bring. Now, that can be a good thing, or that can also be a bad thing. In the beginning, you're gonna want the most amount of angle on the front of this wing as you can get. So, let's swing around here. So, this is how the wing's designed. It's an airfoil. So, it's round here, goes skinny, has a little lip up here. So, depending on what this angle is, tilted forward, up or down, tells you how many degrees you have in your wing. Now, I'm not a scientist. There's a lot of flow charts on these things. There is a certain amount of angle you can put on it, which actually will rob horsepower from you because it has too much stall in the wing. So you can't just set this wing and have it up on an angle like this. It'll actually defeat the purpose. The other problem is if you have too much angle on this, it's also going to push down an amount of downforce that's inevitably going to end up causing you to wheelie through finish lines. Again, that brings up more of a safety issue depending on your car. If it catches air like that, I'm sure everyone's seen cars flip in the air. It's a horrible thing. You never want to be in that situation. So you've got to set the degree angle. Some people set it at 10 degrees, some at 15, some at 9. And then what also comes into play is how the vehicle goes down the track, because your angle is going to change dependent on suspension. So there's lots of ways you can set the angle on this thing. Ideally, you want to have it adjustable. So you take these rods out, you put back in our adjustable ones. But like I said, working in the gray areas for True Street, it had to be a non-adjustable wing, which it is non-adjustable now. So that kind of gives you the idea on the setup of the big wing. Well, in conclusion, does the big wing work? It works. It does what it's meant to do. Will it help everyone's program? Probably not. A lot of it will be dependent on how much power you make, how fast your car goes. Personally, I'd like to see them outlawed. I hate to say that because we have one ourselves, but I just think slowly we're moving farther and farther away from how this sport all started with street cars and street racing and everything else. And definitely these big wings were not on street cars, but that's fine. That's my personal opinion on these deals. As for ingenuity, I love what Casey Max does. The guy's brilliant. He does a lot of cool stuff. When I saw you put the actuators on the wing, it was actually an idea we had as well in the beginning. We had our electronic actuators here. I just never got around to actually installing them. I think if you're gonna use a wing like that, there's a lot of room for tunability if you have actuators where you can tie it into the Holly and adjust the wing as you go up and down track. I think that's a really smart idea. Eventually I'd like to get to it if they keep allowing these big wings to be used, which it seems that nobody cares. Everyone will just add them onto their cars, and like the no front end deal, soon every car will have no front end and big wings on them. So that's the future of no prep, it looks like. So we're gonna run with it and keep doing experiments with these things. So stay tuned. We have some more videos coming up. I have some ideas and some more stuff to share with you guys for new guys who are getting into no prep, for a lot of stuff we've learned. I'm sure some of the things I've brought up may not be 100% accurate. By no means am I a scientist, although we pretend to be. But we like to share with you guys. So leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. Let me know your thoughts on big wings. And stay tuned because we got a lot of cool content coming up in the upcoming months. So until then, we'll see you guys on the Sunday Night Shit Show. And be safe, take care, and have fun racing.
Yeah. Attention all newcomers. This It's not a game.
Ain't nothing to it but to do it, you feel me?
This is life.
Let's get it.
We put blood, sweat, and tears into this. So
look, I push that weight to get that dough, but I don't break cause I've been broke. If ain't no pain, then ain't no growth. To keep it 100, I came into running and bet if I had to, I'd do it again. It ain't no race if I don't win. Yeah, in spite of the odds, I go get it like I'm a boss. If they step to me, we toss. Look how I done lost. And that's what keep me on my toes. Ain't no regular Joe, ain't no hanging the gloves on what's ahead, still ain't enough. Pushing kilos like it's weighted repetition, maximum reload. Look, I'm sick with it, legit right off the jump. 24/7 every month. When I say something, make the bass bump, where there ain't none and it can't come. Can't get no sleep when the competition doing the same. So I shed blood to show my pain.